Embarrassed that it's been so long since I posted to this channel. I apologize. It's just life, and I got other channels and other stuff going on. I do have something camera related and something L mount related that I wanted to talk about today. This is a 24 millimeter Lumix lens that I'm shooting with right now. In fact, I even did like a little review when I got it. I was so excited to get it, and it's been since I got it that day. It's pretty much been on my camera about 95% of the time. I like the lens. It has some quirks that I didn't realize when I first got it, but for the most part, it's a really nice lens. For what I'm doing, it pretty much hits the mark. It has a lot of barrel distortion, and that's one of the things I don't like. I know that some people do, but it's just preference. For what I'm doing, I don't really want a lot of barrel distortion. It bothers me. It's not that terrible, but it's one of the things I don't like about it. It could be wider too for me. I like this shot and everything, but when I'm looking at other stuff, I just don't have a lot of room, and I could honestly use a wider lens, and 24 is pretty wide already, but it'd be nice to have a wider one. Bad thing is Lumix doesn't really have a lot of wider lenses. They have an 18 millimeter and a full frame, but not much else. They have some zoom lenses, I think, even the kit lens that they give you. I've got one on my S9 here, and it's 20 to 60, so 20 is a little bit wider than the 24. The reason I don't use this one is because of the f-stop. It's like 3.5. And the one that's on the camera is a 1.8, which looks much nicer. It gives me a much nicer background. Gives you that more expensive look, like that professional look that I'm actually, that I'm going for, and so is everybody else. So I don't normally use that lens. Sometimes I use it when I'm looking at products or something like that. But like I said, for the most part, this 24 millimeter has been on my Lumix S1 II or my S9 there, like 95% of the time. A while back, Viltrox, they joined the L mount alliance probably over a year ago, and they said that it would take a while for them to start getting some L mount lenses. It's taken quite a while, and they really haven't produced many. In fact, they've only produced 2 that I know of. One of them is a 16 millimeter 1.8 lens, and the other one, I think it just came out. It's like some kind of 20 millimeter, like little tiny Oreo cookie looking lens. It's kind of a specialty lens. It's cheap too. The whole Viltrox thing is kind of disappointing because they have so many great lenses for Sony and for Nikon, but they don't really seem to care about their L mount association. We can talk about that a little bit more, but I've been looking at the 16 millimeter since it came out. I've been watching it, thinking about it, going back and forth with it. I kind of made a promise to myself that I wouldn't buy any more YouTube cheaper lenses because the few ones I've gotten, they've all performed okay, but at the end of the day, I wasn't as impressed with them as I wanted to be, and I kind of figured out that I can buy old Sigma lenses. Like, when I say old, I mean they're still modern, but older, like the older version of the DGDN or the one before that. I can't remember, that had the loud motors in it. I can't remember, it's called like HSN or something, but you can get those for nothing, right? And they look amazing still. They look great, and in a studio, where you record your audio separately, let me just put it this way, they work for me, and they're stupid cheap. I bought a 50 millimeter 1.4 for like $250, and then a 35 millimeter, the first DGDN, for not much more than that. It was like $400. On YouTube, creators will tell you, no, don't get that one, get the latest one. You have to upgrade and all this stuff. But the truth is, there's not a lot of difference in the way that these look. And if you're not, doing high-end professional stuff, I just don't see the need in you having to have that very last lens. You can get quite a financial break on the lenses if you just buy the older model, and they look great. But anyway, the Viltrox lens, I've been watching it. It was almost $600. It's cheaper than Lumix is offering. They have an 18 millimeter lens. I saw some people complaining about the minimum focus distance on the Viltrox, and that worried me. There's one place where I've seen a lot of these budget, like Chinese lenses, like Suray and Mikey, where they kind of run a little. They kind of fail a little bit. You can't get real close to stuff with it, which can make a difference, especially when it's a wide lens like this. If I can't get this close to it, then it kind of defeats the purpose. But anyway, I wanted one. Prime Day came just the last couple of days, and they dropped the price. And shout out to Viltrox for the price drop during Prime Day, because it was one of the actual price drops that I saw. A lot of the things that went on sale, they didn't really go on sale. They just were the same prices they had been before, or were just very, very minute changes. So Viltrox actually gave almost $110 $30, I think, off this lens because it was $580 and then they were selling it for $460. So at that point, I was just like, you know what, I'm going to try it. If I don't like it, I can just send it back. So I got it here. I've already gotten it out of here. Unboxing it went well. There wasn't a lot in there. A little bag and then the lens. And the lens was packaged well. It's a nice big box. There's a lot of foam in there. And I didn't have any worries about it getting damaged or anything on the way here. So this is the actual lens. What I was going to say about Viltrox and the L mount is they just, I don't know. I know it takes a while to get lenses together. This was one that they had already put out for Sony and for Nikon. So I'm not so sure why. I honestly don't believe it took them that long to engineer this lens for L mount. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm way out of my lane there, but I just feel like they probably could have got this out a little sooner. And not only that, there's nothing else. There's nothing else. They've got so many wonderful lenses for Sony and Nikon that I'd really love to see some of those over here. Like the lab lenses they have, those are phenomenal lenses. I would love to see some of those over here. Then they've got some that are called the Air that are really budget minded, but work really well. I just wish that some of those would come here. The good thing is, though, you don't have to go there to get the firmware update. The lens itself is Bluetooth. A lot of YouTubers did this lens when it came out. It was probably about 3 or maybe 6 months ago. And I'm sure you remember it because it goes this way a lot. A lens will come out, especially from one of these like third-party manufacturers. I know they're not third-party, but they kind of are. Suray, Mikey, Seven Artisans, these guys, they come out with a lens and you see it on every camera creator's channel because they gave it to them. They go around and they give out 10, 20 units for free, and that's how they get their advertising. They don't do any commercials or anything like that. They pay for their advertising by doing that. Then they tell you what they think of them. And man, it's getting kind of sad that a lot of these channels just like, they're always going to say the same thing. They're never going to say, hey, this isn't that good. I like the creators a lot. I don't think there's many camera creators I don't like. I feel like the people at least care about what they're doing. When it comes to this stuff, I don't know if they just don't want to hurt the company's feelings or if they want to keep, they just want to keep getting free lenses, or I don't know what it is, but often you don't hear the real deal. I made a promise to myself that I wouldn't buy any more budget lenses based on what a lot of these creators say. Gerald Undone was somebody that I really trusted. I felt like this is kind of weird because usually the big guys are the ones that don't tell the truth, but I felt like he was big enough to where he could push back and just kind of say what he wanted to say. I never heard him insult any cameras, but I definitely felt like he did say when things were wrong. And maybe that was just my perception. Maybe he wasn't honest, but I felt like he was. And I hated it when he said he was retiring. I'm rambling, and I'm sorry. I don't mean to. It's late, and I'm tired. You can probably see it in my eyes. This lens, though, I did get it because it was, it was the cheapest it was going to be, and it's Amazon. You can send it back if you don't want it. So first thing I noticed when I opened it is I hate the lens hood, but I do like the lens. It's a metal build. It feels really heavy. I don't know what this is, if some kind of coating or paint or what it is, but it looks really good. I like the little red tag they have here. Like I said, I've already seen this lens before for Sony. It's probably the most popular for, and Sony users swear by it. They say it's a great lens. For Lumix users, it really should be because we don't have anything that's in this. We have the 18mm by Lumix, but it's almost twice the price. You can find it used and stuff for a little bit cheaper, but right now used stuff isn't even that much cheaper. I saw it for like $700 on eBay, but it was in China. Like you had some import fees and some other stuff. Plus it's in China. I don't know if it's like not a real one or any. I just don't buy things that are outside the country off of eBay. So I didn't get that one. I waited for this one to go down, and it did, and I got it. I just wondered why it came and went so quickly. I haven't seen anybody shooting with it or anybody really talking about it or anything like that. The screen is totally just a gimmick or whatever, man. I mean, if you want to see this, I guess it's okay, but it tells you how it's focused at and what it is, but I don't know how accurate that is or anything like that. It did say Viltrox on it when I, boom, right, yeah. So it had this little, there we go. It had this little like animation on it when you turn it on, but I changed it to say my name on it. You can do that. It's kind of tiny, but you can see it says Jeff Tech on there. And then it goes immediately to that. And then it has an app, like it actually is Bluetooth, and you can connect it to your phone, but there's really nothing you can do there. It's just like checking the settings and that's how you do the software updates, which I guess that part is okay. So you don't have to remember anything or anything like that. But I thought since they were L mount that you could just, they were in the alliance that you would be able to just do it through the camera. If it cost $100 to put the screen on here, I wish they would have left it off, I guess is what I'm saying. On the app, you can assign something to these little function buttons. And I've seen a few reviews where people say they both, one of them, they had a hard time making it work or whatever. It probably was software. I never saw anybody follow up to say that they got it fixed or anything, but they both do work. But one of them is limited. I think they're both kind of limited to what you can assign to them. It's only like 5 or 6 things, and they're the same things for each button. So you just click the little Bluetooth button on here and it connects. It says it's on 1.7, which is the latest version. It came like that, so I appreciate that, and I have to update it. And then you can choose your boot animation. You can name it something, and how long the screensaver is on. But what that means is how long is it on before it cuts off. So if you have it on 5, it'll stay on 5 seconds, and then cut off if nothing changes, if nothing keeps it on. And then you got your function 1, function 2 button, and function 1 I've got set to turn the screen on and off, but you can make it point A or point B, point A, point B, focus ring lock, aperture ring lock, or function ring lock. And then you can do mapping too. So I guess mapping is where you can do it from the camera, but I haven't tried that yet to know if it works. I just have it set to screen on and off. So I was wrong when I said you can only do this handful of things. I didn't see the mapping settings. So if that works, then I guess you'll have a lot of things you can do. My bad. And then same thing here, same exact stuff here, mapping, and then it gives you the exact same ones, aperture ring lock. When I put it on there, I noticed I couldn't change the aperture anymore with the dials on the camera. I have to now use the aperture ring to change it, which is okay with me. I actually kind of like doing it that way. I'm just not used to doing it that way. That's the only thing, so it takes me a little longer. My brain still says turn the dial, and then I remember I have to turn this, but I don't change apertures a lot, especially like with this camera that I'm shooting on now. It pretty much stays exactly the way it is. When I put that 24 millimeter on there, it has not really moved much since. It's just the same way. So I just want to swap this out and let you guys see like real world if it changes a color or if the it looks any different. It shouldn't be much different at all. It's 16 millimeter. This is a 24 millimeter. So we should definitely get a wider field of view. But as far as like the aperture and everything, it should be close to the same. So I'm not even gonna cut the camera off, and I don't know if that's bad for my camera or not, but I don't care. I want you guys to see it. So, all right. So Lumix is smarter than me because they got the camera off. As soon as I tried to pull that lens off, it just turned off. It's probably for the best to keep it from like zapping anything or whatever. It's late. I'm not thinking right, but it's fine. How does it look though? It looks like we got a little bit more room around me. Definitely. The good thing I don't see is it doesn't look real bulbish. Like, a lot of these wide lenses look like you're looking through a peephole or something. And I don't really feel like it looks like that. Honestly, it looks good. It looks good to me. Everything, it's hard to be on here and look, but, there's a roll insulation over there and it looks fairly blurry. How does my face look? Still beautiful. I know I said I wasn't going to run any tests, but it's like 3:47 in the morning, and there was one I wanted to do because it was the one that was bothering me and probably what kept me from buying this lens in the first place, and it was the minimum focusing distance. A lot of people said that it was really bad. Well, I should take that back. I don't think anybody said it was really bad. They just said that it wasn't as good. So I apologize. Everybody I heard said it wasn't as good. And it may not be, but this is what I found. First, I did a field of view test between the 24 and the 16, just so you can get an idea of what the difference is. In the video that you're watching, when I switched the lenses, I actually still had to crop the 16 millimeter off by about 15% because it was crooked, so just to crop it off a little bit. Here though, I don't. So this is the 24 millimeter. And here is Grogu and Mando with the 16 millimeter. As you can tell, there is a huge amount of difference, man. This is a super wide lens. I like it. I don't know if I'm gonna use it for my main lens though. It may be a little too wide, but it still looks really good. And I'm really impressed with it, and I have every plan of keeping it. It seems to perform really well. If you look, here's a picture with my iPhone where I've got a tape measure out, and I'm just showing you how far the camera was from them with the 24 millimeter, and that's what you're seeing right now. And now this one is showing you how far the camera was from them with the 16mm, and it's really not any different. So it's at least that good. I got as close as I could where I could get it to focus manually. That's as far as it would go. So with either lens. So now you know how far the minimum focusing distance is. So let's see how close I can get to this and it's still focus. It looks like it's still focusing on me. I'm pretty damn close, man. I am really close now. Like, I'm extremely close. I'd probably put myself at about 4 inches from the lens now. Maybe about 3 inches from the lens. I am probably about 2 inches from here. I just lost the eye crosshair, but it came back, and I'm about 1 inch away now. Now I'm about a 1/2 inch away. I'm 1/4 inch away. Now my nose is touching the glass. As long as it's in focus right here, then, I mean, what else could you want? I think it has actually turned out to be a pretty decent lens. I'll have to use it for a while to really know. So I'll try to make sure I come back and update you guys. But right now I'm happy with it. I think it was a good deal. I think they did a solid by dropping the price. Viltrox, if you're listening, please, man, give us L-mount guys some lenses. Rep the L-mount a little bit, guys. That's all I want. I'm not knocking Viltrox at all. I'm very happy they're part of the L-mount Alliance. I want to see everybody become a part of the L-mount Alliance. I am an avid Lumix shooter. I will shoot Lumix until, they're going to have to do something really bad to me to make me stop shooting Lumix. That's enough of me rambling and talking shit. Let me know what you think about the lens. I'm sure the reason they came out with this lens is because they had already done it for 2 or 3 other people, and they needed to come out with something for Lumix, and they were like, oh, just slap an L mount on that thing and we'll be good to go. Hopefully they are working on something good for us. If you want to see a video from a guy who just rambles for, it probably will be another 4 or 5 months before I post one, then you can subscribe. But if you do like me and want to see me a little more put together, you can head over to my channel, Jeff Tech, where I make tech content every other day. There's a new video. Be safe and peace.